The U.S. Geological Survey says a magnitude 3.3 earthquake hit Flagstaff just after 9 this morning.
Flagstaff police say crashes went up last year, especially in places like this.
Beneath the vast, open skies of northern Arizona, between wind-carved pines and the basalt bones of ancient volcanoes, a new and perplexing rumble has begun to stir. At the edge of the Colorado Plateau, the land has long worn its history openly. Old lava flows, cinder hills, and the remnants of eruptions written into stone. For generations, Flagstaff and its neighboring towns have existed atop this quietly shifting land, reassured by an image of geologic tranquility, a slumber thought to be assured ever since the region's volcanoes stilled and its earthquakes faded into distant memory. But today, deep beneath the Ponderosa forests and hidden fault lines, something has disturbed Arizona's long-standing calm. On a spring night, as winds slip through aspen groves, a tremor ripples quietly beneath the crust. Then another follows, and another. Seismic sensors, long accustomed to the region's apparent stillness, become alert, registering faint whispers that quickly gain the attention of scientists. An unexpected seismic swarm near Flagstaff defies expectations, unfolding in a mysterious pattern which few can immediately explain. What is awakening beneath Arizona's surface? Is this the land quietly responding to its ancient scars? Or is it hinting at a larger, emerging instability beneath the high desert? A shift that could reshape Arizona's geologic story? The hidden pulse, a swarm in the desert. As the world's seismic imagination often fixates on California's quivering San Andreas, Alaska's distant subductions, or the restless calderas of Yellowstone and Campi Flegrei, Arizona has quietly inscribed its own entry into the annals of recent geological attention. It began with a single, almost forgettable tremor, a faint flutter in the earth, so subtle that only a few, attuned to the nuanced conversations of ground and stone, would have noticed. Alone, it may have been dismissed as an anomaly. Arizona is not known for frequent or strong seismic activity, but the pattern intensified. Since late March, nearly 20 earthquakes have rippled across northwest Arizona, their signatures ranging from a gentle 0.7 on the magnitude scale to the slightly sharper 2.6. Not isolated events, but a swarm, a rapid sequence of quakes, as though the land itself were rehearsing for something more consequential.
Talking about last night's earthquakes shaking a lot of people right out of bed.
I did, Stephen. Just a few hours ago, Phoenix emergency officials putting on a big demonstration.
Sensors recorded every shudder. Scientists updated their models and monitored the evolving swarm. With each new burst, Flagstaff, tranquil and surrounded by reminders of Pleistocene fires, seemed to adopt a new geological identity. Here, among volcanic cones and fractured ridges, the crust had begun to speak with new urgency. And this seismic swarm did not simply fade away. Instead, it persisted. Each cluster of microquakes made the situation more intriguing. Seismic swarms can signal a range of processes: the movement of fluids at depth, perhaps magma slowly forcing its way through rock, or a hidden fault line quietly releasing stress. What exactly was driving the activity under northern Arizona? To understand what's stirring beneath Flagstaff, geologists must consider both the region's history and its structure. Arizona's landscape, known for spectacular canyons and petrified forests, is underlain by an intricate network of faults and rifts, some dating back hundreds of millions of years. Underneath the arid soil lies a maze of fractures and weaknesses, each storing the memory of ancient tectonic collisions and magmatic surges. Yet, in contrast to the well-known unrest of California or Yellowstone, Flagstaff's faults have mostly been quiet in recent history. Residents and planners view earthquakes as distant threats, something that happens in other places. Still, no place's calm is guaranteed. Arizona's seismic swarm has rekindled scrutiny of the region's geological structures. Scientists, recalling that swarms can occasionally precede larger fault ruptures or indicate magmatic movement, are now studying the possibility that something significant is stirring. In a land so shaped by past volcanism, the possibilities are both profound and enigmatic. Of particular note to seismologists is that while most quakes in the current swarm are minor, a few have been surprisingly strong for the area, an unexpected development as highlighted by experts like Brumbaugh. These events suggest that the area may be storing more tectonic strain than previously recognized. Now, key questions focus on what these swarms and accompanying increases in magnitude might mean. Are we seeing the rejuvenation of a long-dormant rift beneath the Arizona desert, or simply the natural release of strain from an ancient but stable fault? Seismic swarms and volcanic whispers. In seismology, a swarm refers to a sequence of earthquakes occurring in a relatively short span, often clustered in a specific area and lacking a single dominant main shock. This distinguishes them from traditional seismic sequences, where one large earthquake is followed by a series of diminishing aftershocks. Earthquake swarms can be frustratingly ambiguous. They may last days, weeks, or even months, and their intensity and frequency may fluctuate without clear warning signs or outcomes. Swarms can have a variety of causes. In volcanic regions like Italy's Campi Flegrei, Iceland, or the Yellowstone caldera in the US, earthquake swarms often correlate with the movement of magma or hydrothermal fluids beneath the surface. These fluids create pressure and stress as they migrate through rock fractures, triggering a cascade of small to moderate quakes. In many cases, these events never escalate into eruptions, but in some historic instances, like the 1980 Mount St. Helens eruption, they served as key precursors. In non-volcanic areas, swarms may instead be driven by tectonic or hydrological forces. For instance, fluctuations in groundwater due to seasonal rains, droughts, or human activities such as aquifer pumping can increase pore pressure and lubricate existing fault lines, making it easier for them to slip. Stress redistributions from previous earthquakes, even distant ones, can also set off localized fault movement that manifests as a swarm. Arizona, not typically viewed as a seismic hotspot, does have a network of faults, some ancient and buried, that occasionally reactivate under regional stress. The 2025 swarm, focused near the transition zone between the Colorado Plateau and the Basin and Range Province, has drawn national interest due to its unexpected persistence and geographic spread. Every tremor is being scrutinized. Seismologists are using INSAR satellite data to detect ground deformation, GPS arrays to track any surface movement, and borehole strain meters to record subtle changes in subsurface stress. They're also analyzing seismic waveforms to determine the exact depths and characteristics of the quakes, key factors in distinguishing between tectonic and volcanic origins. Global experience fuels both reassurance and caution. While the majority of swarms fizzle out with no major consequences, there have been exceptions. In Japan, swarm activity preceded several damaging quakes, and in 2009, a swarm in L'Aquila, Italy was dismissed, only to be followed by a devastating magnitude 6.3 quake that killed over 300 people. In Arizona's case, no surface deformation indicative of magma intrusion has been recorded so far. That leans the evidence toward tectonic movement. Still, the ambiguity is what makes swarms so unnerving. Are these quakes merely a harmless settling of deep faults, or a whispered prelude to something larger? In the absence of clear answers, one thing remains certain: vigilance is essential. Silent catastrophe, the geometry of an unseen rift. Beneath Arizona's dramatic landscapes and sun-baked deserts, a quieter geological story is unfolding, one that was long hidden beneath layers of volcanic rock and sediment. Recent geophysical research has uncovered compelling evidence for a previously unmapped structural feature, a mysterious rift zone, a linear weakness stretching diagonally across portions of the state's rugged interior. The term rift often evokes images of Africa's Great Rift Valley or Iceland's spreading tectonic plates, where continental crust is visibly pulling apart. But in Arizona, the rifting is far subtler, etched into the land as broad warps, minor fault offsets, and faint anomalies detected only through satellite imaging and seismic tomography. It was only with the advent of high-resolution LiDAR scan, INSAR interferometry, and deep crustal mapping that this ancient feature began to reveal its outline. The rift appears to align with the epicentral distribution of the recent earthquake swarm, leading some geologists to propose a direct connection. Could this hidden structure, quiet for millennia, now be reawakening? Evidence supports this possibility. The region around the Arizona Strip and the Parashant volcanic field has long borne the geological fingerprints of past extension. Basalt flows, cinder cones, and ancient volcanic fissures mark a landscape shaped by tectonic stretching over millions of years. Some segments of the crust here are thinner than elsewhere in the Southwest, increasing the likelihood of both tectonic slip and magmatic intrusion. What makes this rift particularly intriguing is its age and invisibility. It does not cut through the modern surface in bold fault lines, and it hasn't produced any large historic earthquakes, at least none recorded. Instead, it behaves like a ghost structure, a weakness buried beneath, susceptible to subtle pressure shifts. Some scientists believe that fluid migration from deeper sources or thermal expansion from mantle heat could be reactivating old faults tied to the rift. Already, instruments have detected microcracks opening, minor gas emissions from deep boreholes, and an increase in vertical ground motion. While none of these point definitively to a volcanic eruption or major quake, they represent enough anomalies to warrant sustained monitoring. The question remains, is this rift a dormant relic or an active player in Arizona's seismic story? If it proves to be structurally capable of transmitting stress or channeling magma, it could alter seismic hazard assessments across the region. For now, researchers continue gathering data, modeling stress fields, and trying to determine if this is merely a geological curiosity or the beginning of something far more significant. Wounds that never heal. Arizona's violent past. Beneath the calm. Arizona's painted deserts conceal a dramatic geologic history, one of volcanic eruptions, major ruptures, and shifting plate boundaries. The land beneath Flagstaff holds a palimpsest of ancient cataclysms, alongside fresh traces from today's modest tremors. To understand the recent swarm, geologists look back through deep time. The region's prominent lava flows and cinder cones are more than scenery. They are evidence of former magmatic violence. Each blackened hill or basalt plateau is a witness to times when magma forced open the crust, reshaping the land with fire. Even after visible eruptions ceased, the crust here has continued to flex and shift. The Parashant region is a testament to tectonic cycles, sometimes marked by rifting, sometimes by volcanism. The cumulative effect is a landscape that is deceptively peaceful, but always storing energy somewhere below. While Arizona has not experienced major earthquakes on the scale of California, that calm may only be temporary. Centuries or millennia of quiet do not eliminate risk entirely. Today's seismic swarm is a distant echo of past upheaval, a reminder that quiescence should not be confused with permanent stability. Throughout this region, the story of unrest is echoed not just in geology, but in human records. Petroglyphs and ruins reference strange ground movements, and some oral traditions speak of earthquakes as signs from a restless earth. Even early European settlers made passing note of occasional, inexplicable tremors, brief interruptions, marking the land's enduring volatility. The fundamental uncertainty is this: do these ancient wounds ever fully heal, or are they points of recurring weakness that can reactivate under new stresses? Are today's tremors a harmless aftershock of lost ages, or are they signaling ongoing processes yet to be fully understood? The science of uncertainty. Seismologists on high alert. Technological advances mean Arizona's crust is being watched as never before. A network of seismometers, GPS stations, and satellite sensors now track every tremor and movement with precision. Each burst of seismicity is analyzed, logged, and compared to previous records. But despite all this data, uncertainty is inescapable. Seismic swarms defy easy categorization. Sometimes they mark the movement of water or magma. Other times, they simply reflect the slip of old faults endeavoring to reach equilibrium. Brumbaugh, a leading authority on regional seismology, candidly acknowledges his surprise at the strength of some recent quakes in the area, an admission that underscores the deep unpredictability of such events. Even experts can misjudge what the crust has in store. The public response varies from curiosity to anxiety. Sensational headlines warn of hidden rifts and looming quakes, but these are shaded by the very real limitations of scientific forecasting. Are these events mere background noise or early notes in a potentially dramatic new movement? Caution rules for now. Scientists respond by deploying more instruments and sharing data with colleagues nationwide. Emergency planners refresh protocols. The lesson is clear. Even where catastrophe seems unlikely, vigilance can mean the difference between preparedness and being caught off guard. Living on a seismic pallet. Flagstaff's state of preparedness. In Flagstaff and nearby towns, people have long cultivated a relationship with their land, one blending awe, curiosity, and pragmatic respect. Earthquakes are historically rare here, so preparations have focused on wildfires or weather, not shaking ground. But the recent swarm has prompted a new conversation about readiness. Local officials are taking careful note of geological updates. School drills now include earthquake preparedness in addition to other hazards. City engineers review whether local buildings, constructed mainly for snow and wind, would fare well in the event of a moderate quake. Residents are asking novel questions. What if recent fault movements endanger critical infrastructure? Are water pipelines or bridges vulnerable to previously ignored risks? Emergency supplies, evacuation plans, and disaster kits, once distant concerns, are now under active consideration by more households. Unlike the catastrophic megaquake scenario sometimes envisioned for Lake Tahoe, where a rupture could destabilize mountain slopes or send destructive waves across the lake, Flagstaff's risks are different. The danger is less about high-profile destruction and more about infrastructure interruptions, potential damage to utilities, and disruptions to daily life. Preparedness is thus about more than material readiness. It's built on knowledge. Public awareness campaign, local seismology workshops, and collaborative drills all play a part in fostering resilience. Recently, meteorologists, public safety officials, and seismologists have organized community events to share clear information on earthquake risks and readiness. Pamphlets on emergency kits, checklists for home hazard mitigation, and demonstrations of safe responses during shaking have become more common. The practical side of preparation is now taking center stage. This growing readiness movement is anchored not by alarm, but by agency, a recognition that informed communities fare better, regardless of whether any major event ever occurs. Echoes from the world, comparison, and caution. No region stands entirely alone. Swarms in Arizona recall patterns in more active places. Since 2021, Italy's Campi Flegrei has experienced notable swarms, reminders that even seemingly dormant systems can reactivate. Scientists note that, worldwide, regions considered stable have occasionally surprised us with significant seismic or volcanic events. Lake Tahoe's situation draws attention for a different reason: the possibility, albeit remote, of a significant earthquake affecting a populated resort region. In the shadow of mystery, science, preparation, and wonder. What comes next for Arizona? The seismic swarm near Flagstaff remains a complex story. The science is still evolving, and answers do not come easy. Researchers continue to parse fresh data, reanalyze historical patterns, and test hypotheses drawn from both the local context and global analog, some questions will remain unanswered. But by asking them, watching closely, and preparing thoughtfully, Arizona's residents and scientists ensure that this silence, unlike so many before it, is both observed and respected. If the hidden tectonics beneath Flagstaff have more stories to tell, we'll listen. In the meantime, we keep one eye on the horizon and another on the earth beneath our feet. If you're intrigued by the mysteries unfurling under Arizona's high desert, stay tuned. Like this video to follow every subtle tremor, subscribe for continuing updates, and share what you think is next. Will Arizona enter a new era of seismic risk? Or is the land simply speaking in quiet tones of its ancient history? Remember, beneath us, the earth still keeps its deepest secrets, waiting for the right moment to bring them up to the light.